Today from beautiful LaPorte, Indiana. Joining us here via the phone tonight on the program is Keith Kilmer, the head football coach at Lowell High School. Glad to have a Double K with us here today, Coach. First of all, as always, great to visit with you here in advance, and just want to talk a little bit about, I know you guys are really excited about some of the dynamics going on with your school, several renovation projects on tap there. Let's give our listening audience a flyover on how exciting it is with some new things on the horizon for athletics down at Lowell High School.
Well, first of all, Paul, thanks for having me. Yeah, we're pretty excited. We rolled it out to the public the other day that we're going to be pretty much renovating the entire outdoor athletic facility with new turf fields on football, baseball, softball, and soccer. Having outdoor locker rooms, new tennis courts. You know, there's not a sport, an outdoor sport that's going to get touched, and we're pretty excited, and it's a long time coming.
You know, one of the things about is really neat about being around as long as I have been, 35-plus years, as we continue to turn that clock from A to B, is to be able to go up and down to the rosters as well as the coaching staff and see some familiar names, not only at the top, but also some long-time assistants. And we've wrote several feature articles this past year and kind of focused in on some long-time assistants. And I want to start with a guy on your staff who's been around a long time, Jimmy Carlson, a guy who certainly has been outstanding in every aspect. He's a football lifer. Let's talk about having the importance of that, a guy like that on your coaching staff, because that kind of just, in addition to yourself, it helps those young coaches like T.J. Lukasic and Paul Acey and some of those other guys who are on that coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. You know, when you have guys like Coach Carlson, who's been here, you know, I like to call it the Double K era, and he's been here through that entire era. It's a great way to keep tradition. It's a great way to keep that history. You know, we just had a little night at the Inferno, you know, team building thing on Saturday night, you know, and Coach Carlson stood up and really brought together and taught the young guys, the young players that don't understand what the program was like back in the 60s and 70s and 80s and where we've come. And to have guys like that from a head coaching standpoint, to have experience, you know, guys that you can count on, guys that you don't have to manage, you know, they know what they need to do and they know what's right for the program. It sure makes my life a lot easier.
All right, so let's take a look at as we move forward to the 23 campaign. Kind of give us an idea on how you guys spent your summer as well as your fall camp. Did you guys do anything unique in regards to summer preparations? Did you get out to some camps? Did you get out to some 7-on-7s? Or did you just kind of just lay low and just, you know, spent the time together within the infrastructure of your family unit and your home unit?
Well, you know, we were pretty fortunate to go down to Lucas Oil Stadium and have a scrimmage down there with Gary Westside, John Glenn, and South Bend St. Joe. Really not sure how it came about. Coach Barron from John Glenn called up and said, "Hey, you want to go?" So that was kind of our camp this year, you know, our way to get away. But, you know, for the most part here in Red Devil Land, we stay in our own little backyard and do our little work right here and try and build our team from within rather than a lot of competition days and a lot of that. You know, we're replacing a quarterback, a pretty good one in Riley Bank, and that was pretty much our focus to see, you know, what this offense is going to be able to do under, you know, a new field general.
All right, so let's talk about who won that quarterback job. I know Cam Crago is a kid that you put down as one on the depth chart. Kendall Powers, are you solidified going into Friday's game against the Dogs?
We're going to start with Crago. Powers is, you know, he's going to end up playing a receiver, but he'll be our backup. The third kid, Brody Kalwinski, you know, all three of them are right there close. But, you know, all three of them are great athletes, and they're going to see the field. But, you know, right now we're going to turn the reins over to Crago and see where he can take us.
Well, let's talk about the start of the season and the pivotal point in this is you play some two of the three best teams you're going to have on your schedule, hands down, are weeks 1 and 3, Crown Point, and then on the road at New Prairie. New Prairie's turned itself into one of the best football programs in 5A in the Hoosier State. So take a look at those 2-3. And I know you're worried about Crown Point. I know it says that on the clock, how many days till you're playing Crown Point. But that's a tough and formidable stop. And then, of course, you got a LaPorte team in there with a coaching change. You're really not sure how that's going to go.
Right, but when we schedule our non-conference schedule, we keep that in mind. What we want to do is we want to challenge ourselves. We want to find out what we need to work on, what our weaknesses are, fix mistakes. And so, it's tradition. You line up against Crown Point. We're going to find out real early on Friday what we got. We added New Prairie a couple of years ago. They've become a little bit of a rival. We've come up on the short end of the stick the last couple of years, but they're now a sectional opponent. So, we just want to know what we got. And our goal is to be playing our best football in October, and you can't do that if you don't challenge yourself early.
All right, so let's talk about the offense. Is the offense ahead of the defense right now? Defense ahead of the offense? And as you lay that out for us, who has to play well on Friday for you to pick up the W in the game against Crown Point?
Typically when you replace a quarterback that you've had, starting for 2 years, the offense is going to start off a little slower. So I'd say, Coach Lukasik and his staff, the defensive staff, they might be a little bit ahead of the offense. Key for us is we got two linemen that are probably going to have to play both ways, and Ben Ruda and Seth Renfist. And as they get into shape and as they, is we're going to go as far as they can go on both sides of the offensive and defensive line as they solidify those positions for us. And then they're both big, strong kids. They're both tough kids, and they're great leaders for us. So, right now, early on, we're going to go about as far as they're going to take us.
All right, let's talk about this conference. One thing about it, with Hanover Central on the move and kind of coming in to hang out with y'all, give us an idea on how you think that is going to portray things as those things come into flux over the next few years.
I think it's a great addition. Hanover's growing. They're one of the few communities that it's just, they're just building houses. So they're gonna catch up into that 4A and 5A range real quick. Coach Parker runs a great program over there. He's got a couple former guys that coach here. Bartolomeo, Coach Bartolomeo is helping them out. But more importantly, they're a great fit for our conference. Coach Miss Burmis, their AD, does a great job over there. And, they're going to add to the NCC, which is already a pretty tough 3A, 4A conference.
When you look at the players in this league, and certainly you don't have to take a back seat to anybody in your class as far as some of the top players in the state, as well as geographically, locally. Give us an idea on some of the guys on your squad, Keith, that's going to come into this thing and maybe kind of vie for some of those preseason and postseason all-league performers type things as maybe a small state situation.
Well, I'm going to start off with the kid Malachi James, who tore his ACL last year in our first game and had his junior year kind of taken from him. He's a kid that has fallen off the radar as far as that statewide recognition goes, but he's going to be a force on the defensive side of the ball, and he's going to play a role on offense when we really need him. He started for us as a sophomore at safety. He's itching. He's ready to go. He's 100% healthy, and he's going to make a difference.
When you look at trying to play multiple guys, and you talked about playing a couple guys up front on both sides of the football, and I know the higher up in class you go, you kind of want to avoid those situations. And with weather being a factor, maybe potentially coming down the hike, those are things you got to kind of deal with. Give us an idea on how you prepare for those kind of things, Coach Comer, and give us an idea on how that lays up when you got those guys playing both ways.
So, it's interesting. It was about a 2-hour conversation at our staff meeting last night. The goal is you want to platoon as much as you can, but you know that you're going to have rotators in. So, if we can get our starting lineups platooned, but our 2 and 3 guys who rotate in and play, half the time, that's what we want to do. And it's just kind of funny, once that weather breaks and the humidity breaks, we can get into that cold Red Devil weather, then you don't have to worry about it quite as much, and then our kids are ready to go.
All right, when you give you a wrap up here, when you look at the landscape of high school football in the Hoosier State, is there something that kind of maybe sticks in your craw that, hey, listen, we got to get this changed? Or is there something that you think, hey, listen, this is really good, we need to keep it as is, maybe expand about that? You've been around the block a couple times now, 14 seasons. Give us an idea now as you look at the landscape of high school football in our state. What's good, what's bad, what's changeable, what's not changeable?
Well, pretty excited I've gotten involved with the IFCA, and I think Indiana football is a leader and has been a leader across the nation with our great leadership. Football's safe. It's not quite the football that you and I played, but you understand that it's a lot safer, and our kids are still gaining those positive attributes that you can get from playing the game. I think we're to the point where we have to start worrying about what the NIL at the college level is going to start doing at the high school level, and we need to fight to keep our community-based athletics, educational-based athletics, a top priority in our schools, and fight that the transferring and the, hey, I'm not going to play, so I'm going to move to the next school. And if we can keep this a community-based, educational-based athletics, I think that should be a main goal of our football programs.
Once again, a special thanks to the head football coach of the Lowell Red Devils, Keith Kilmer.